Historically black colleges and universities have been the education foundation for black Americans over the years. These institutions help the pursuit of professional careers, earning graduate degrees, and advancing education. Sports is an integral part of the HBCU experience. We'll explore conversations with icons going beyond the X's and O's. This is Historically Black, the HBCU footprint.
Now on the show, we get an opportunity to talk to Dave Merritt, the Kansas City Chiefs defensive back coach, Raleigh native. How you doing, Dave? Welcome to the show.
Man, I'm doing great. How are you guys, man?
Man, we doing absolutely fantastic.
Thank you so much.
First of all, I want to start by saying congratulations.
Yes.
Well done.
Appreciate it.
Well done.
Appreciate it,
And you guys have put together some tremendous talent on that defensive backfield. But overall, just give me a little insight on the team. What you guys? I know you got busy plans all week, but you've done this before, so it's pretty easy. Give us a little insight on what you guys got going on starting this week.
Well, I tell you what, it's never easy. I appreciate you saying it's pretty easy, but boy, I tell you, it was a hard-fought victory for us this past week. Cincinnati is a heck of a team, and we have so many young guys, man, and in the backfield alone, the defensive backfield. You look out there, you have 3 rookie corners, 2 at the corner spot, 1 at the nickel spot, 1 at the safety spot, and that's 4 total, and all 4 of them were draft picks. And so,
we were going to ask you about that, too.
We're going to ask you about that in a few minutes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's preparation this week is going to be tremendous. One of the things I try to tell these young guys is that, it's a faceless opponent every time you go out there. I understand you guys read Twitter, you guys read sports pages or whatever it may be, but you have to understand your technique is going to take over, and it doesn't matter who's in front of you. Just play with the technique, and you may have a chance to be successful. So it's going to be a great week of preparation. The players have been off the last 2-3 days. They come in tomorrow, and we start up. Andy Reid is big on making sure the guys get healthy and so they can get some rest, and it's just going to be a tremendous preparation. We leave on Sunday for Phoenix.
Wow. Man, we so excited, Dave. And again, thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much.
You and I was going back a lot, trying to get you on. I know you got stuff going. But, man, we're talking to David Merritt, who's defensive back coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, rocking for Raleigh-Durham and, of course, Millbrook High School and NC State, Super Bowl winner.
Yeah.
And he's rocking with us right here in the Sports Shop. Dave, as a coach, though, I was shocked when I heard how young those kids were, and I call them kids, but that you coach. But I was also impressed that a couple of them represent the HBCUs, man. So the kid from Fayetteville State, talk about, because everybody said he was going to be that dude, but man, both of those kids, one went to Howard initially, then the cousin from Fayetteville State. Talk about those 2 guys.
Joshua Williams is a young man we drafted in the 4th round. I interviewed him last year at the Combine, and then I was just so impressed with how he came off in his interview one-on-one, and I immediately wrote down, this is the type of kid you want. He's looking up, he's 6'3 and a half, whatever it may be, long arms, and then you throw on his tape. And you're sitting here saying, wait a minute now, how did this guy get there? Well, I have a good friend by the name of David Bowser. Dave Bowser is the athletic director at St. Augustine right now.
Okay.
I called Dave Bowser, who was at Fayetteville State, and I said, Dave, tell me about this guy. And Dave, of course, said, Coach, I'm not going to lie to you. He said, I don't know how we got him at Fayetteville State, but he's the type of kid you want in your program. Now, again, Dave and I played together at NC State, so I trust his word. Well, watched some film, didn't have a lot of film on him, but I saw enough to say, you know what, I can work with this. And if we just give our HBCU young men an opportunity to just get them in the building and work with them and believe in them, then you never know what you may have there. And so I went back and I talked to my GM, talked to the head coach, Andy Reid, and I said, look, this kid right here is what we need on the outside to face some of these big, tall receivers that are 6'5", 6'4". Wow. Joshua Williams sitting there at 6'3", that's what you need, that type of kid. Well, Britt Veach said, let's go get him. So all of a sudden, the 4th round was starting the next day. Britt Veach sent me a message at like 6 in the morning and said, Dave, let's go get your guy at Fayetteville State. And next thing you know, we were calling Joshua Williams' name, and I'm just so happy for him.
Man.
Wow.
Yeah, and the other kid, Brian Cook, is another young man who came from Howard and transferred to Cincinnati.
Yep.
Brian Cook is another guy that I sit here and I looked at this guy and I said, you know what? Here's a safety that has instincts. This guy, although he started at Howard University, this guy has something in him that he has just been climbing and crawling and fighting his entire life. And so for him to move from, Howard to Cincinnati, that showed me something right there. And once you put on this film, you can see some of the intangibles that you need as a safety. So that's another HBCU kid that I wanted to get, and we drafted him in the second round. So it's been great, man.
Man, kudos to you guys, man.
Wow. Outstanding.
When he got there, a week before, I should say, the whole rant that happened online, he he just told me, man, he was like, man, they offered me a bad contract and so on and so forth. You can't believe, man, it was a slap in the face. And I was trying to give him encouraging words of like, hey, look, listen, bro, do what Prime did, man, and come in and use this as a platform to maybe take a pay cut and then get the money on the back end through ticket sales or through however you can do it, you and your team.
Right.
But I know that those students and those people really started to rally behind him and some of the promises he was giving them. And I don't think Ed came with a bad, facetious heart or intent of what he was doing, even after all the crazy things he said about me. Because, for me as an Eagle, I'd be crazy to come down and have chicken conversation when you're an Eagle. Because, see, I'm not defined by the game that my oppressor gave to me, which is called football. I'm going to a new NFL called Newfound Life, the Now Forever League. And that's the most important league that we have to teach these young people that they need to try to chase, because let's be real. There's more billionaires in the world than pro football players in the NFL and CFL combined.
Wow.
So, for me, it's about the people. It's about the young people and giving them positive realities of life. The positive reality is everybody's not going to make it to the NFL. Everybody's not going to be an actor, an author, a speaker, a coach. So there has to be some people that are filling in the gaps, right? I had a nutritionist, I had a doctor, I had a chef, I had so many other people that helped and still help to this day in my career, right? And they can make a living by being attached to something that they have an affinity for, which becomes hard work instead of hard work. So yeah, man, I'm just elated because although it was a bad thing that happened, how he said it, what he said wasn't necessarily wrong. Listen, I go back to Bethune-Cookman every year, and I speak to those students, and I speak to the team, but not one time did any of those players say, hey, Mr. Steve, Mr. Baggs, we're sharing cleats, like nobody told me that. And when I give money, just like anybody would give money to anything that they donate to, you don't know what the fiduciary people are doing with the money.
And Steve, I'm going to jump in right there. I'm glad you said that, because that's what I want to talk about. Again, we're talking to Stevie Baggs Jr., who's former Bethune-Cookman athlete, played the CFL and NFL, author, as well as inspiration speaker. So I guess that's what threw me off, because a lot of people, we all heard it, sharing the cleats, you just threw me off with that one, jerseys and what we're hearing about the university in particular not supporting the athletic program or not having enough funds to support an adequate program, is that true from your perspective?
From my perspective, and I'm glad you said perspective, because you have to approach something holistically. We can't get bits and pieces of information from people, y'all, and just take it and run with it. Especially melanated people, we're so enamored with drama instead of getting down to the point.
Yes.
I'm not gonna take the fiduciary and the board of trustees off the hook. I'm not gonna take administration off the hook. I'm not gonna take the coaches off the hook, and I'm not gonna take the students off the hook, because I'll be real. Like, everyone has to play their part in making something great. But listen, I spoke at Clemson University twice to their football team, and they have the best facility on the planet, and you still found students complaining. So no matter where you go, you know what I mean, students will complain.
That's true.
And from outside looking in, 20 years ago when I was at Bethune, from what they have now, from what we had, I was like, my goodness, right? And so you see the growth outside looking in, because I'm not in the day-to-day. I don't go to the dorm rooms with the students. I mean, most of the time I speak to them, it's at a hotel the night before the game, or the day of the game, right? So I'm not even really on campus But saying all that to say, man, we have to be more holistic in how we look at things because there's so many different factors that we don't know. The old president had a botched deal with real estate. And so, you have people saying Cookman got $68 million, but they're paying a bunch of debt back for all of that. You had a hurricane in 2019. You had two hurricanes in 2022. But it's like so many different moving parts, right? And I'm just here to try to help young people be able to realize, man, that if in order to get answers, in order to make change, sometimes you got to do it by documentation over conversation, because that's what this system is about.
That's right. That's right. We are talking to Steve Baggs Jr. He is a Bethune-Cookman University alum, NFL three-time All-American linebacker. He's also an actor, an author, and an inspirational speaker. I just have one question that I'm seeing a lot of. From your perspective, I know you said you had talked to Coach a lot. So did Ed Reed, that's who we're talking about, had he visited the campus prior to these discussions on the contract and the expectations of what they wanted him to do and his own expectations? Had he visited the campus to see some of the things that we actually saw on the video?
Pamela, that's an amazing question. And that's the answer. I don't know. You would think that before you go sign a contract with a team that you would go down and visit the campus and see what's going on there before you eat the deal. That, I mean, that would be logical in my summation.
Yep.
But I don't know. Maybe he didn't do it. Maybe he just thought, it was what it was. But you have to understand that there's a difference in the ideology of someone who actually played and went to an HBCU and then someone who didn't. Right?
I agree.
Most young men who are great athletes, when they go to a PWI, a D1, a Power 5 school, if their NFL talent is what Ed Reed is, they, as soon as they step on the college doors, they never lack for anything for the rest of their life. So they don't really recognize the nuances of another struggle, right? So I don't know. I can't speak for him on that because I don't know, Pamela. But that was a great question. All I can say is that once again, a lot of people say there's three sides to a story: your side, my side, and the truth. But really, it's your truth, my truth, and the facts. Like if I'm looking at a 9 and you're looking at a 6, if you're telling me, hey, Stevie, this is a 6, and I'm like, bro, it's a 9. And we're arguing back and forth, bro. We look crazy because we're both arguing. And until we get out of our own way and move around and we're able to say, oh, man, wow, you did. It is a 6. I do see that. And you're like, oh, it is a 9. And it's like the truth of the matter is that your truth is your truth based on your exposure and your experience and your perspective. But the facts is that it's a number. The facts is that if we're going to help these young people, which is what I do every day. My nonprofit is 20 years old. We have 9 after-school programs in the city of Atlanta, Georgia. We're in the trenches every day teaching young people how to think different. And that's why I say I'm going to a new NFL, the newfound life. Because you know what? There's no gold jacket, y'all, in the spiritual world. There's no Hall of Fame in the Old Testament and the New Testament, for all the Bible scholars. Like at the end of the day, once we start to recognize that we're greater than running up and down the football field, we have to start seeing our opulence and our divinity and our righteousness in every other way. And that's really my plight, and that's really my perspective. I was going to be on a Roland Martin show. I was going to be on a number of shows, but I had to stop and say I had to do spiritual inventory and make sure that what I was saying and what I was responding to instead of reacting to was going to be not to demean Ed Reed, because society wants melanated men to keep arguing and fighting with one another. That's crazy.
No, you're right.
I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to do that with bro. I want to make sure that we're giving one another the type of love and healing that we're looking for, because that's all it is. When you're hurt, you're looking for healing, right?
Well, we're happy that we're happy you decided to come on the sports show.
Thank you.
So we're happy you do it.
No, I listen to the spiritual side of things, y'all, because I recognize that certain platforms, are more grounded, or more for the people, and it's not buffoonery.
That's
Appreciate
awesome.
that. Thank you.
We're talking with Stevie Baggs Jr., Bethune-Cookman alum, former football player. You play for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Did you play with Brandon Banks? Did you play the same time frame?
Nah, B. Banks came after me, man.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
I played on 11 teams in 10 years, so 5 NFL, 5 CFL, and 1 arena team. And that's why I wrote a book called Greater Than the Game, because, I was Black College Player of the Year, all this stuff, man. I mean, I just got in the Black College Hall of Fame. And like I was telling you guys, thank you. And what I was saying, though, to you all just now is that, like, listen, man, yeah, I even came back to Hamilton when Brad was there to speak to those young men and try to encourage them and try to, what to do with your money. Start an EIN, get your business together so that when you lead a game, you're not broke and broken. Because a lot of men who lead this game, 78% of people who lead this game and play this game called professional football, 78% end up broke when they're done financially. But then they're broken physically and they're also broken spiritually.
Wow.
Because if you don't know your value outside of playing a sport, then you always not know your worth. And so imagine playing football for me since the age of 7 years old to the age of 31, 32. I'm like, when I took that Rodell off my head and I tried to find myself, I was like, holy Toledo, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I had an international business degree. I had intellect, but I still didn't know because my identity was really caught up in all the hours that I put into this game.
Yeah, in that transition for many people, it's just a part of society, it's part of who we are. We have to learn how to deal with that, and we got to have great people in our lives. But we're up against it right now, Steve. But I got a last question I want to get your statement on before we get out of here. What's next for Bethune-Cookman University athletics and the football program?
Well, the one thing that it did is this whole thing galvanized some of the alumni, the former players. And they just announced that they hired Raymond Woody, who's an alum of Bethune-Cookman, and I'm excited for him because he's a good brother. He's coached in a number of places, Oregon, Florida State. I mean, you name it, he's been around, and he understands the culture. And I think when you understand the culture, then you're able to give in a different light and in a different manner than a person who doesn't. And so we're going to be able to hold the athletic director and the administration to a different level of standard and accountability now that we have more information. Money ain't power, y'all. Education ain't power. Information is power. And if you have good information, you can use good power. If you have bad information, use bad power. We were badly informed or misinformed or just not informed at all on what was going on. Listen, Bethune-Cookman has 5 sets of helmets, y'all. I got to say this. They have 5 sets of helmets. They have more than any other HBCU. They have a yellow set, a maroon set, a black set, a chrome set. So let's condense it down to 2 or 3 sets of helmets. Y'all don't have to share helmets anymore. See, like all of those little things people don't know. So it's like my good friend who was the athletic director for Savannah State. He graduated from Bethune-Cookman, and he said, Stevie, Savannah State football team would die to trade places with what Bethune had. You see what I'm saying? So everything is
agree with that.
You see?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Stevie.
Good stuff.
Yeah, man. Well, thank y'all for having me.
We appreciate you coming on. We appreciate your insight. You told us a lot that, we didn't know because I'm not that close to the program. I don't think many people are. So, outstanding. We appreciate you.
And as an alumni, I wasn't, brother. And that's all I'm saying about perspective. And that's all I wanted us to do is get a holistic viewpoint of what's going on because I still don't have all the answers. I still don't have all the information.
Yeah, okay.
But I appreciate you guys for having me on and keep doing the great work you're doing.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. Thank you.